on the stage now. I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real. I'm feeling so ruthless. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. Get in the game, your moment of fame. Show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up. It's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time. Nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to throw down. It's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise. Don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time.
Hello everybody and welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway for round number 3 of Racecraft TV Rallycross presented by Sparco. We're here for RX2 first of all at this fantastic brand new, well basically brand new circuit to iRacing. A lot of the drivers would never have driven here before. One of the newest circuits in iRacing history and one of the best in my personal opinion. Who am I? Dane Baird, joined by Joshua Lee, and we have got fantastic action on the way here on Racecraft TV. Car cameras created by Isfan below at trackcams22.com, and yeah, we've got some fantastic action on the way. Josh, couple of issues with the circuit, it seems, over the last couple of days from the update, but that hasn't stopped a lot of drivers turning up for today's RX2 event.
Oh, definitely not. We are pushing in on roughly about 15 people ready to race here in RX2, and they're going to be throwing a wrench into the point standings as they currently sit, and we get a great look at them now from round 2 at Sonoma. Michael Lawrence with the current lead, but he will not be competing here tonight from what we have heard. That gives a great opportunity for Christopher Plumley to get to the top. Sean Winkler, Crystal King, and Trevor Teal heading up the top 5. They all have an opportunity to try and get above Michael Lawrence, but it's not going to be too easy as we take a look at that points format, Dane.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some interesting points format here. You get scored for your heat and feature. You do not get scored for the consolation, as is commonly the case in rallycross competition on iRacing. 8 points for a win, down to 1 point for finishing 8 in your heat, and then in the feature starting at 15 for the win, then going down to 1 point in 10th position. But that means that the total number of points you can get from a perfect race weekend, winning your heat and winning the feature, is 23 points, which I have a feeling we might get somebody doing that here today in RX2. We've seen quite a few drivers have some fantastic performances, and we have one driver heading down into RX2 from RX1, so they're looking like they might be pretty good indeed heading into this event. This is what the format is going to be for tonight's event. Then 5-lap heat, we're going to have 2 of those, the top 4 advance, and then we're going to have a 5-lap last chance qualifier or consolation event. The top 2 will advance to the feature. They'll line up in 9th and 10th. Then we're going to have the fastest 10 drivers from those 3 races, and we're going to put them into a 10-lap feature event. That is where the bulk of the points are going to be scored, and that's where every driver wants to be finishing out on top. A couple track facts about Charlotte Motor Speedway. Opened in 1960. It is, of course, in Concord, North Carolina, and it is just under a mile in length or just over a kilometer, depending on your units of choice, which makes it one of the shorter circuits on the calendar. It's quite a short lap here in Charlotte compared to some of the other circuits that we visit on the calendar, Josh. And what that means is these heat races are going to fly by really quickly.
Definitely does, and it also means that these drivers are going to have less time to react to what's going on around them. And you mentioned the calendar, Dane, perfect timing, have it up on our screen right now. And round 3 here in Charlotte, definitely the most unique circuit we have had and the newest circuit we have had on the calendar up to this date. We go to a classic circuit, Daytona Long, been on the iRacing Rallycross calendar since the beginning of iRacing Rallycross, so great to see it on the calendar. Atlanta Long, a fan favorite and a driver favorite. Iowa Speedway, one of the rallycross tracks that a lot of people don't talk about, but we're going to be going to it here in the calendar. Brands Hatch, Barcelona, Hell Lancabanen, then another round to Phoenix, Sonoma, and Charlotte to finish off the season here. So it's a bit of a unique calendar. We're going to be having a bit of a stretch there of European circuits from Brands Hatch, Barcelona, and Hell Lancabanen. Interesting to see how the drivers are going to transition over to that European section of the calendar, but we're staying in the U.S. for right now. Charlotte Motor Speedway, a lot of challenges to this course, and a recent update making that dirt a little bit more slick is going to have some wild cards out here tonight.
Yep, absolutely, and first on the calendar for this series is that the Joker lane here is not a shortcut. Despite it being in America, the Joker lap here is is a long lap. It's going to add around about 1.7 seconds onto the driver's lap times when they go down through that Joker lane. The qualifying is all done, and we are getting ready to go for the first heat race of today. Remember, the top 4 drivers will advance straight into the feature. Whoever wins this will start on pole position, so it is a very important race here in this heat number 1. Let's see who is going to get into that feature. As the lights are on, we're ready to race, and it's a fantastic start from the driver up in the middle, heading in towards turn number 1. It's not a part of the actual circuit. Huge carnage, and there's a beetle in the wall. Trevor Teal is in the wall as well. 4 cars involved in that one. Miranda Saltiel and Howell all taken out right at the start, and what that's done is gifted the top 4 currently, Knowles, Drapkin, Watson and Granitza, all into those top 4 positions. They've got a 4-second gap over the drivers behind them as they make their way through into the tarmac section for the first time. Now onto the dirt section, one of the trickiest parts of the calendar, Josh.
And look at Zachary Drapkin. Oh, Andrew Howell's also
All
gonna
4
go.
of them in the wall.
Zach Knowles, all of them went into the wall in the corner. We talked about it in the pre-show. This dirt getting incredibly slick after an iRacing update. I think we're starting to see just how these drivers weren't expecting it. They go back to the asphalt. Opportunity for a couple of drivers to dive into the Joker. James Watson's going to take it. Who else from the back is going to take to the Joker? Doesn't look like Rodrigo Miranda will, but Zach Knowles is going to hold the lead. Zachary Drapkin now in P2. How can he catch up to the double 99 there of Zach Knowles? They race into the middle portion of this racetrack. The Subaru 099 leading the way. A Ford Fiesta. Zachary Drapkin trying to catch up. Bit of a unique choice for Drapkin, but he looks stout here as he races for P2.
This is one of the only circuits, I believe Hell, Lancabalance, and maybe Iowa Speedway as well, are maybe the 3 circuits, including Charlotte, that the VW and the Ford are actually quicker than the Subaru on the baseline setup. And what that means is that these drivers with maybe oddball car choices are going to have a slight advantage over the guys who usually drive the Subaru. We actually were talking to Garrett Maines last week after the race. He said he didn't know what he wanted to do. He was going for the Subaru for the full season to try to get ready for the World Championship Series, but the VW is quicker here than the Subaru, and that's the car that he's used to. So it's a bit of a dilemma for some of the drivers as to which car they want to pick. But Knowles out in front, he still has to take to the Joker lane, but he's doing a fantastic job.
Zach Knowles still in control of this field, but I find it interesting that Zachary Drapkin did not fall far. He only fell to about 2.5 seconds now over Zach Knowles. The Canadian there in the 099 trying to hold on to this lead, and with 2 to go here in heat number 1, he needs to make sure he keeps this steady momentum that he has, keeping in front of Zachary Drapkin. As Drapkin known for his short course racing, that Redline Oil Ford Fiesta, trying to catch up, but with a 2.6 second gap now, going up to about 2.7 seconds here on the track. Zach Knowles is looking stout for this heat 1 win. Battle for the transfer spot rather non-existent here, Dane. James Watson pulling away by close to 10 seconds, make that 9 seconds over Rodrigo Miranda, and he is going to walk away with this transfer spot in P4 if he can hold on to it. Here comes Knowles to the Joker.
And the gap was starting to decrease. You can see it says Drapkin's got ahead, and actually he has their side-by-side over the finish, and it's going to be Drapkin taking the win in heat number 1. Oh, sorry, the final lap. I thought we were already on the final lap. He took his Joker lap 1 lap early, and I'll tell you what, Josh, it was a good thing he did, because he's just come out just behind. If he was out there for any longer, he might be a bit further back. Now at least he has a bit of a chance of making a move.
Let's see if he's able to make that move. Knowles goes down to the bottom. It's the final lap in heat number 1. Take a look at Zach Knowles. He wants that spot. He's going to try and fight for it. The crossover comes in. Knowles to the bottom. Is he going to be able to hold it? Yes, he is. Trying to close off Drapkin. He sends Drapkin to the sausage curbs. And as they go through the final 2 corners, Zach Knowles is going to walk away with the heat 1 victory.
What a move there at the end, taking the switch back through the dirt section. That was fantastic, and that's what this part of the circuit really does bring. You can make moves here. It's one of the few rallycross circuits where it's relatively easy to make a move if you're up against the driver in front of you. And that was an absolutely fantastic move there. We'll see who is going to take the last 2 feature spots. It's Watson and Granitza. So none of the drivers involved in that opening or in the start crash, they didn't even reach lap 1 yet. But all of the drivers involved in that start crash are out of the heats race. They're not going through to the feature. They're going to the consolation as we get ready to grid up for heat number 2. But here are the full race results. You can see Knowles taking the win. He'll start on pole for the feature. Then we've got Drapkin, Watson and Granitza starting in making their way through into the feature. Heat number 2 starting grid. Then you've got Seth French on the inside. It's 3 at the front for the grid at Charlotte. Tor Borenson in second, then Sean Winkler, Sean Langton, Crystal King, Christopher Plumley and Thomas Grady rounding out the grid here. We're just waiting on one more driver, and that is Crystal King, starting in 5th position. Everybody else just waiting on the grid, waiting very patiently on the grid, it must be said. But Seth French on the inside needs to get a good run, because that middle lane and the outside lane, you can get a very nice run around the outside of that opening corner and really make it work, and if you get a good start. So we're gonna have to wait and see now. The lights are on. We are ready to race for heat number 2. Let's see who's gonna get a good start. We're green, and it's a fantastic start from the middle once again for Plumley out in front.
Oh my, everybody's gonna get contact.
Oh dear.
That is everybody around in the
Super
back.
on top of the wall. But now these guys, these drivers now, they're going to have to make their way. Oh, there's more contact up in front for the lead. Borenson and French making contact in the dirt section for the first time, going over the jump now. Keep your cool. You've got a 9-second lead over Winkler in 4th. So you don't have to battle, guys. Just keep it cool, and you'll be easily through to the feature. This might be the freest transfer spots that they'll get all season long. Now, what's interesting, Josh, we're going to have to see who's going to get that 4th and final transfer spot. King retiring from the race.
We'll have to see who gets it now. With King retired, we're going to see a little bit of bugs in our timing, but once they work their way past the pit lane there and past the archway, it'll start to update, and Tor Borenson leading the way now. Seth French trying to fight from P2. It's a bit of anybody's guess at who's going to get this transfer spot. As Sean Langton, he just went into the Joker lane. Plumley was able to use his Joker. Same thing with Sean Winkler, it looks like, here in the 43. So as they all exited now, 3rd and 4th have already taken the Joker, and with it being a longer Joker, Dane, this is as low as they are going to go. They can only make up time from here on the racetrack. And look at Langton sending it to the bottom for the transfer. Langton still needs to Joker.
Yep, absolutely. He's got to make his way down to the Joker. He clearly thinks he's being held up by Winkler, so I would assume Langton is going to make a hard left turn. No, stays out. So that's an interesting call. We do know that some of these drivers come from short course racing or other forms of racing on iRacing, maybe not too familiar with the Joker strategy and the best ways to go about it, as actually we've just got to slow down now for the leader, Seth French. He's in the wall in the dirt section, hard into the wall. You can see there's some damage to the front of that Beetle as well, and Borenson behind has already taken to the Joker, so French going to lose out on this lead when he does go down into the Joker.
Still going to keep that lead by about 2 seconds. Not electing to Joker yet. It'll be 2 to go here at the line. Langton still needs to Joker. He was able to get by Winkler for that transfer. And into the wall goes Seth French. A hard hit making his way through turn number 1, and it's gonna get even worse as he's stuck on the bottom of the racetrack trying to get it pointed forward. He gets it back going, has a bit of a gap over Sean Langton, but that is disaster for the race leader. Dane, we'll take a look at a quick replay.
Yep, replay coming up now of what happened there. Coming through the first section, carrying maybe too much speed, and just gets the back into that wall. I've done that so many times in my practice for the All-Star event. That was one of the biggest places to crash, and then trying to get it going again is so tough because the walls are so close on either side. That was very, very unfortunate stuff there from French. Goes down into the Joker now, but Langton is going to move up then and doesn't take to the Joker. White flag lap, then final lap for the leader. Remember, these guys are pretty far down from the lead at the moment. French might not even make it into the feature now, all the way down in 5th. So this is huge for French. After leading the race for so long, now's not even going to make it through to the feature. We'll start second on the consolation grid as it stands now. Morrison, around the final couple of corners, is going to take the win, but I'm interested to see where does Langton come out. French tapping the wall again there in the background though.
Let's see what is going to happen here as they work their way past the Joker lane. This time by, Langton needs to come in. Is it going to be enough? You're on board
it's
with the
a bit
77. Deep. Let's see if it'll be enough. It is going to be 4th place, but will it be 5th? No, it will not. Langton's going to barely get into the feature.
French did all that they could there, but just couldn't get quite the fastest lap that they needed, and just very unfortunate stuff there, tapping the wall at between turns 1 and 2. Like I said, the easiest place to do that on the circuit, very difficult part of the circuit. Full results up on the screen. Top 4 moving to your feature. Starting on the front row will be Borison in the middle, which is good because that's where he started in the heat and got a fantastic result. Here's the starting grid for the last chance qualifier or the consolation, depending on what you want to call it. We've got Miranda, French, and Teal starting on the front row. Then we've got Grady and Howell in row 2. And then on row 3, Crystal King on the inside with Soul in the middle. We have got 7 drivers here on the grid for the consolation. Only the top 2 will advance. Who's that going to be, Josh? Who have you got your money on?
Honestly, I got my money on the top 2 right now, Miranda and French. However, Trevor Teal has been strong in the past. Doesn't look like he's been that strong here at Charlotte, but those lights are getting ready to come up. Let's see how it's all going to unfold. It looks like maybe a little bit of a jump from Casey Soul. No black flag. We're ready to go.
And we go green, and in the middle, going backwards is the 54 of French, all the way down to 4th already, and up the inside goes Grady, gets collected, and it's absolute carnage. Cars flying over the barriers. They're already into sector 3, and every single driver gets involved in that one. Over the wall, no way back, they have to tow, but into the lead of the race is Soul. People are still rolling on the starting grid. Let's see who has actually managed to get out of this one in one piece. Here's Soul and Teal trying to go around the outside of turn number 3, but that's not going to quite work as we make our way now onto the dirt section for the very first time. Are they all going to keep it out of the wall? Teal gets a little bit sideways, but these 4 drivers doing a fantastic job of keeping it nice and clean on this opening lap. A little bit of a touch there for Teal, but a couple of the drivers are making it. Oh, there's Miranda into the wall on the infield, not going to be able to make it through into that top 2. Into the Joker then, Teal is into the Joker. Howell and King inherit 2nd and 3rd. After lap number 1, it's Soul, Howell, King, Teal taking the Joker, and then Miranda down in 5th. Grady and French already out of the race. So very unfortunate stuff in that start of the race. It was absolute chaos, Josh.
That was an insane start, to say the least, and it's still going to carry over to the middle portion of this LCQ as Casey Soul gets a little bit too hot going into that dirt corner. Here comes Andrew Howell up the middle, trying to take the bottom line and go right on around in the 666 machine. Who's going to take the spot? That's going to send Casey Soul off and into the Joker lane. He's going to get it out of the way here. Howell still needs to take it, but Soul crucially is going to come out in front of Trevor Teal, meaning the 2 drivers who have taken their Joker lane are 2nd and 3rd, and Howell has a problem. He's going to get wrecked out and down to 3rd.
Soul hit the wall as well. That's allowed Teal to catch right up. And remember, Soul and Teal both taken to the Joker. Howell has not. So Howell has just basically butchered any chance of making it into that top 2 unless he can get past these 2 drivers on track and also take the Joker. Behind in the background, King as well taking the Joker. So Howell looks like it's going to finish 4th at best. Teal up the inside of Soul on the dirt section and gets the move done into the lead.
Into the Joker goes Andrew Howell. How is this going to work for the 666? Out he comes. It's only going to be P4. That would have been enough. Dane in the heats. Not going to be enough here in the consolation, and more issues for Howell as he hits the wall again. But it's top two that we care about here in the LCQ. Right now it's Teal and Soul with Crystal King trying to catch up.
Absolutely, we'll see what can happen here. Remember, we do still have a lap and a half to go. Teal's gone deep. They make contact. Soul gets back into the lead of the race. Teal has the inside now, pushes Soul wide, and here comes King from behind. We're riding on board now with Crystal King. Teal just about holds on to the lead. They're still side by side and battling hard. Soul all over the curbs and gets in front. Teal might have a slowdown of some kind. No, just giving up the position. White flag here at Charlotte, and King can maybe try and make something work from third place. Soul avoiding the wall at turn 2. So, hit the wall a couple of times. Here comes Howell from behind, out of nowhere, up into third place. King's had an issue, hit the wall at turn 2.
Howell might have an opportunity with a mistake from Trevor Teal to work his way into the feature race. It's all Casey Soul at the front of this field. He's looking good to get this LCQ win, work his way into the feature. Now Trevor Teal trying to hold on. You can see Andrew Howell right behind, inside a half a second. But as they work their way back to the line, it's going to be all Casey Soul at the front of the field and nothing for Andrew Howell to do. It's Soul and Teal working their way into the feature.
And Howell did an absolutely fantastic job of trying to get back into those top 2 positions, and very nearly did. 0.3 of a second separating Teal and Howell across the line. I reckon another lap and Howell has him there, so very unfortunate for Howell. But full results up on the screen. Unfortunately, Seth French and Thomas Grady did not make it past the start of the race. Soul takes the win with Teal in second. Those two are going to go to the back of your feature grid. But for everybody else, Howell, King, Miranda, French, and Grady, that is the end of their event. They will be eliminated and take no further part in the session. We'll see them next week. Well, now, bit of a warm-up session for the drivers to just get their bearings again. Of course, the drivers who got through straight from heat number 1, they've not been driving for a while, so it'll be good for them to get a couple laps on the circuit again, get that muscle memory dialed in once more. But Josh, after seeing the heats in the feature, honestly, these starts have been chaotic. That consolation starts, the consolation start we just saw was madness.
Absolutely, and it has been madness in every single one of these starts, and we talk about it in iRacing Rallycross, that dive into the first corner, and I don't think there's any first corner that creates this much madness than turn number 1 here at Charlotte. Same thing, because it uses the Roval turn number 1 that we're now used to on the NASCAR side of things, and that turn 1 has been called the Tums heartburn turn for a reason. It causes heartburn in the drivers that have to race the Roval, because it is just such a tough turn 1, and it is so easy to make a mistake there. We only have to run it once in this config, but it is the opening turn of the race. One wrong move and you could be out of luck for the entire day, and that is exactly what we saw for a lot of drivers. Yeah,
you think about it, they're going 3 wide. At one point, they were going 4 wide into that corner. That's all well and good when you're on the oval. It's quite wide out there. When you get onto the infield, not so much. And that's what causes most of the problems. Lots of drivers trying to make their way into that tightening spot. And it just causes all the drivers to come onto the same line, and that's when the chaos happens. You can see they're coming out of the final couple of corners. There are walls that just stick into the circuit at random points at the start of this at the start of the race, coming out of the starting grid. And when you're trying to go side by side with someone, you're just going to get sent into those walls straight away. As warm-up takes to an end, and we'll get ready to go for the feature race in RX2. Josh, 10 drivers on the grid. Borison starting in second, I think, has one of the best chances of getting away cleanly after seeing his starts of these races. Has been fantastic so far. What do you think? Who have you got your money on as we take a look at the grid for the feature race?
Honestly, my money's gonna go to Zach Knowles because he has been so strong, and we'll very quickly take a look at the starting grid here as the field's getting ready to go already. Knowles on the pole, Tor Borison next to him, Zachary Drapkin, Christopher Plumley, James Watson, Sean Winkler. Back down from there to complete the 10 cars. It's Patrick Granitza, Sean Langton, Casey Soul, and Trevor Teal. And we are now ready to go racing. Dane, it's feature time in Charlotte for RX2.
Absolutely, all 10 cars onto the grid then, 4 rows. The lights are on, the revs are rising. We're ready to race for the feature in RX2 round 3 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And we go green. It might have been a jump start, but on the inside, Zach Knowles with a fantastic getaway will not be involved in anything that happens further behind. And that is the cleanest start we have had all day. They took it until the feature to give us a clean start. Everybody has made it through the first couple of corners clean. Now we make our way onto the dirt for the first time. Is that going to continue? Yes, it is. Everybody staying out of the wall. Everybody being cautious. Langton sending it up to the inside of Watson for 7th place there. Fantastic move for Langton. And now I think we've just seen our first casualty. Winkler is dropping back. There he is out of the jump into the wall, and that is a shame for Sean Winkler. But out in front, it is Knowles who leads from Drapkin, then Plumley, Borison, and Soul. Your top 5. Knowles up the inside as Drapkin up the inside of Knowles and almost making it work, dropping out for a second. There is the Ford Fiesta. They make contact for a little bit. The Ford Fiesta blinking all over the place. Cars are crashing into the Joker, Josh.
Oh my, another hard hit. That was Tor Andre Borison. That spun going into the Joker. A hard hit from Winkler. We rejoin the battle for the lead. It looks like Drapkin's internet connection still not exactly cooperating as well as I think he hopes it would here in the feature, but he does have the provisional lead for the moment. Zach Knowles sits there in P2, and racing from 3rd, it's Casey Soul and Sean Langton, but the battle for the lead is not done. Knowles back to the bottom. Knowles back to the lead.
I think there might have been some communication there on the voice chat because Drapkin let him there, probably due to the lag. I mean, it is impossible to race someone when they're only on the screen half the time. It is a fact. It's impossible, especially when you're racing as close as they were on Rallycross. It is impossible to race someone at that point. So heading across the line to start lap number 3 of 10, and it is still Knowles who is leading this race. We'll see who is taking their jokers. Well, Soul has taken his joker, Casey Soul, currently in 4th position and is around about 4.5 seconds back, and what that means is he's still going to come out around about 2.5 seconds behind. The leaders are still going to come out around about 2.5 seconds in front of Soul. So Soul's going to get a bit of a move on if he wants to try and make his way up through the pack. There goes Drapkin into the Joker though.
Let's see how this is going to work for Zachary Drapkin in the 12, who followed him in. That looked to be Sean Langton in the 77. Drapkin's going to keep P2. Soul's going to keep P3 as Langton blends in P4 right in front of Christopher Plumley there running P5 for the moment. That leaves only 3 drivers who are yet to take their Joker, Dane, and one of them being the leader, Zach Knowles. Not going to spell great for your current Canadian race leader.
3.3 seconds now down to 2.8 seconds as I say that. 2.7, 2.6 seconds is the gap between Knowles and Drapkin. Knowles has to take the Joker now, does take the Joker now. We'll see. Has he got a good Joker line through here? Just clipping the apex very nicely. Now coming out of the Joker merge line on the inside. They're side by side heading into turn number 1, and it is just Knowles taking the lead of the race coming out of the Joker. Drapkin set the fastest lap of the race by a second on that last lap. Really going for it. Is now disappearing more than is actually on the circuit. Unfortunately, that internet connection not holding up at all. You can see it's really not good at all. Knowles into the barrier there a little bit, but Drapkin struggling a little bit. Now, for viewers who may not know, on Drapkin's screen, everybody else will be disappearing when he is disappearing on our screens. So it's almost impossible for him to race as well. So it's not just a disadvantage for everybody else. He is suffering just as much, but still up in 2nd place. Everybody still in the race realistically has jokered, so no more of that. With 5 laps left in the race, Josh, do you think Drapkin can take this?
It's going to be tough, and we saw just a mistake from Zachary Drapkin there, right as you said that, Dane. Got a little bit too far up out of the groove coming through turn number 1. We've been seeing that all day long. Nothing new there for Zachary Drapkin. He's now going to have Casey Soul, Sean Langton joining him there, 3rd and 4th. And as they run through the dirt section, Langton going to make a move down to the bottom on Casey Soul. Can he get the switch back working? No, he cannot. Soul's going to keep P3. And Watson and Plumley now going to go trading spots here. Watson had 5th place a lap ago right here, pulled about just the exact same thing, went wide on the exit of this corner, but this time Plumley cannot get by. 5th place still keeping to the 39 of James Watson, but with 4 to go, it's Knowles pulling away at the front. 2.7 seconds the gap. He just needs to be smooth and calm now for these last 4.
Absolutely, Boris setting the fastest lap of the race by a whole second, a 42.6. So trying to not have a race-ending mistake in the Joker. Almost could have been race-ending. Back on the circuit and trying to catch up to Plumley. Has just actually got ahead of Soul. What's happened to Soul? Soul's ended up in the barrier somewhere. Hard into the barrier as well. You can see there's a lot of damage now to the front of that VW. We're going to get a Racecraft TV replay up on the screen now. Coming through turn 1 as he clipped the inside wall. No. Gone over the sausage curb. No. Clipped these blue barriers. No. Oh, over rotation. Bang. Big impact into the wall. Now trying to turn around is tricky because that's a blind crest for those drivers. Very good driving there from Sol to make sure no one ends up collecting him. But out in front of this race, Josh Knowles by almost 4 seconds.
Yeah, what a dominating day for Zach Knowles here as we take a look at a bit of a hornet's nest here. 4 drivers battling 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th on the racetrack. That's Watson, Langton, Plumley, and Orison in the number 55, rounding up the field in P6. More issues for Casey Soul. He has now gone into the pit lane where we can't get a view, so unfortunate for Casey Soul. He went ahead, towed it back into the pit lane. His day is done. But look at the drifting from Zach Knowles coming through the last asphalt corner before the middle portion of this racetrack all being dirt through the roval. What a day for Zach Knowles. This is definitely going to spell great for him when it comes to the point standing. And a good looking Canadian inspired paint scheme there with factory sim sport colors. He's looking to walk away with this RX2 feature race victory and be the 3rd unique RX2 feature race winner in 3 rounds. And we have an opportunity to go 3 unique RX1 feature race winners coming up here in a bit.
Yep, absolutely. Mikey Lawrence and Plumley taking the wins in the 1st and 2nd rounds respectively. But now it is this man's turn. Zach Knowles out in front in the 099 Subaru. Coming around through the dirt section now. Everybody spread out pretty well, so I don't think there's going to be any more changes for position. But Knowles coming around, little mistake there, but guess what? It doesn't matter, because he's 3 seconds out in front, coming around the final couple of corners now. And to finish off round number 3 at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Zach Knowles takes the win in RX2's feature by 3.4 seconds. An absolutely dominating performance from the driver of the 099 car, the Canadian, absolutely dominating. The lowest that he was in the entire race was 2nd. That's an absolutely dominating victory there. By Rallycross terms, 3.3 seconds is huge.
Tor Andre Borison gonna round out that top 5, and grabbing 6th place will be Winkler. Plumley gonna come home P7 after an uphill battle, and Trevor Teal, Casey Soul, Patrick Granitza rounding out the field. But what a start to the day here, Dane, and RX2 always provides some exciting action. And as we get a good look at the full race results here from RX2, we still have plenty more action coming up in RX1.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. Those guys, they always give us fantastic racing. These guys in RX2, they've given us a treat here today. Finally, in the feature, they give us a race with a clean start. I could not believe it when all 10 cars made it through the first few turns unscathed. That was an absolutely fantastic start to the race. Full results up on the screen then. Zach Knowles, of course, taking the win, and it was the battle of the Zacks up at the front. I didn't even realize that. Zachary Drapkin in the number 12 machine, finishing in second by 3.3 seconds. James Watson for Ohio in the third position there, narrowly missing out on a narrowly missing out on a podium was Sean Langton, only a second back from Watson at the end of that race. Tor Andre Borison was the driver who moved down from RX1, finishes in fifth, but had more than enough pace to win that race. A very unfortunate incident into the Joker on the first lap put him out of contention very early on. Sean Winkler in sixth, Christopher Plumley in seventh, not able to catch up the gap and overtake Mikey Lawrence in the standings as we were thinking he might. Trevor Teal in 8th, and then Katie Soul, Patrick Granitza in 9th and 10th. Neither of those two drivers finishing the race in their VW Beetles. Well, that rounds up a fantastic evening of action in RX2. We're going to hear from a couple of the drivers now, but first let's have a chat with Josh Lee. Josh, what are your thoughts on that race? I thought that was a pretty good race from start to finish. We had some good action in that.
Definitely was, and definitely good to see a lot of different names running up at the front here. Obviously, Zach Knowles grabbing the win, but it's his first feature race win of his season here in RX2, so good to see some new people up front. And it looks like we're only going to have time for our race winner here, Dane. So why don't we go ahead and get started speaking with Zach Knowles.
Yep, he is now joining us. Feature race winner, Zach Knowles, in the broadcast booth. And Zach, what a fantastic performance from yourself in that feature race, winning by 3.3 seconds in the end. A pretty commanding victory.
Yeah, I was very happy with that. It's first time on this track, really. I've never done rallycross here. I just made a paint on this car last week, did some practice today, so can't be happier with the result today.
Yep, absolutely. And just checking through the results, then starting second in your heat race, but ending up taking the win for that race. That was really important because it puts you in pole position for the feature. How important do you think that was for you, considering what we've seen with the starts in both the heats and the consolation race as well? You must have been pretty happy starting on pole.
Absolutely. It means I could just take my time and just go at my own pace and take the inside and not make any mistakes or anything like that. So I think it was huge to get that win on Zachary Japkin. I think that was a great battle we had there at the heat ending as well.
And then obviously starting on pole position, getting a clean start, the cleanest start of the entire event. Everybody managed to make it through the first couple of turns somehow. But then your Joker battle with Japkin, coming out side by side with him, that must have been pretty nerve-wracking. I was saying, he's got to go for the Joker. Luckily, you went into the Joker. I think if you left it a lap or so more, you might not have come out in front of him.
Yeah, I was just checking my relative there. I saw that he was 2 seconds behind me, and I know that if he was behind me, there's more of a chance I could stand for it. I know Zachary Japkin's really, really fast, and like I said, I'm super new to rallycross, so I think that was awesome, getting that down and pulling out right beside him.
Yep, absolutely. And now making our way into round 4 at Daytona, one of the oldest rallycross circuits on the service. What are your thoughts heading into round 4 of the series?
Looking forward to Daytona. I've always liked that track ever since RX first came out on the iRacing platform. I raced that a bunch, and then I just kind of took a break, and now I'm back at it again. So looking forward to Daytona, that's for sure.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for joining us here. Congratulations on the win in round number 3 of the Racecraft TV Rallycross presented by Sparco RX2. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to here on Racecraft TV?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I want to thank Racecraft TV for what you guys do. The broadcast is amazing. I want to take a thanks to Factory Sim Sport. Those guys are awesome. Picked me up not too long ago, and I'm happy to win a race for them. And I'd like to thank, myself, ZK Designs, for my beautiful paint that I was running. I painted that as long as a couple other cars in the field. Besides that, I think that's all good.
Your paint did get a compliment from the other man in the broadcast booth, Josh Lee, near the end of that race. It was a very nice livery indeed. Well, Zach, thank you so much for joining us here on Racecraft TV. We will see you next week at Daytona.
See you then. Thank you.
Well, it was great to hear from our race winner there, Josh. And Really a fantastic performance from him as we make our way into RX1. I am so excited for this. We've got the points up on the screen. Garrett Mains leading only by 5 points though. Josh Fox is the man in second. Then Racecraft TV's very own Josh Edmondson in third. Adam Alderton, after that shock win at the end of the round at Sonoma last week, doing the UK proud. He wants to do that again here at Charlotte. Josh, we've got a very close field here. The possibility for a couple of new drivers making their way onto the field tonight, although I've been told maybe a couple of the new drivers aren't racing because of the dirt bug. But yeah, we've got a really stacked field heading into this race. Slightly fewer drivers, I believe, than RX2, but RX1 proving to give us World Championship quality racing with World Championship quality drivers.
Well, you talk about less drivers. It's only one less driver. 14 drivers getting ready to take the green flag here. So we'll have 7 and 7 in the heats. We're going to cut a total of 4 of them here. Yeah, and perfectly nice and even. We're going to cut a total of 4. So we always talk about how RX1, and we do every week. We've had to cut people from the feature race. Interesting to see who the people who get cut are, because they are still some incredibly fast drivers, but everybody's fighting for just the same real estate there. And it's time for the starting grid here. Dane, heat number 1 for RX1's ready to go.
Yep, qualifying is over, and it is multi-world champion on the iRacing service on the dirt oval side, Alex Bergeron in the Subaru, starting on pole position alongside Josh Edmondson and Jason Hook, doing a fantastic performance in qualifying there, starting on the front row. Matt Hartley, teammate of Jason, in 4th, just behind, with Daniel Ash on the outside. Then on row number 3, Kieran Forrest on the inside. Then in the middle, we've got the driver starting in 7th place, Adam Alderton, not setting a lap. So very unfortunate stuff there. Probably down to the 0x's from touching the walls, I would imagine, Josh.
Yeah, is usually the common culprit when it comes to drivers not getting a lap time in, and it's so easy to around this course. We've been talking about drivers sliding in the dirt right up into the wall pretty much all day long in RX2. Don't think we're going to be out of the woods when it comes to that here in RX1, but these drivers are taking to the grid. It's time to go racing. They are revving and ready. It's time for Heat 1.
And the lights are out, and we go green, or do we? Driver stationary, there we go, finally we go green, and it's a pretty even start from all the drivers on the front row. Jason Hook maybe slightly too far, there's some contact and Hook is sent wide, but for the most part I think everybody survived the start for once, and it looks like Josh Edmondson will follow Bergeron into the start line for the very first time. We're going to start lap number 1 here in heat number 1. Bergeron already with a pretty nice lead, and up the inside, oh, massive hit into the wall. I don't know who that was in the background. Oh dear, all sorts of stuff is going on there. Alderton's involved, looks like Kieran Forrest is involved in the Ford Fiesta as well. Huge hit into the inside wall at turn number 2, and that's taken more than a couple drivers out of this race.
Unfortunate to see they all went over when it came to the jump, but up in front, it's Bergeron trying to run away from Edmondson. Big question here is who is going to Joker? Will anybody do it on the first lap? Hartley stays out. Hooks is going to be the only driver here in the top 4 to work their way into the Joker. Not going to work out, as he is the only driver to do so. Daniel Eisch stays out, but he was caught up in that incident on the jump, so he rounds up the field in P6. Kieran Forrest, P7, currently in the pit lane, but Seiko, look at the Joker laps remaining. Everybody still has one except for Hook, and Bergeron is still running away. Gap is 2.1 seconds.
Yep, absolutely huge gap already for Bergeron, showing his class as a world champion, multiple world champion on the dirt oval side of things. Loves to get down and dirty on the iRacing platform. No need to take the Joker on this lap. We'll probably leave it for the final lap. There's absolutely no reason to do anything else. Matt Hartley into the Joker then on lap number 2, and loses out the position to Alderton, who still has to take the Joker, of course, so that's not going to be like that for long. Hartley probably will end up finishing in front of Alderton at the end of the race. However, teammate Jason Hook might not be so lucky. That gap is extending between Alderton and Hook. Let's have a look at the gap between Bergeron and Edmondson. 2.8 seconds is the gap between them, and we're looking at the battle for third at the moment. Alderton still leading that little train forming there. riding on board with Josh Edmondson. Is he going to take to the Joker? No need to. These two drivers, Bergeron and Edmondson, out in front. Well, they're pretty much safe into the feature at this point in time. Zero need at all to risk that by taking the Joker early and getting involved in some traffic. And riding on board with Bergeron, absolutely no fear of him making a mistake or anything like that. He's so consistent there at the front.
Incredibly consistent, and he's just showing how just a little bit of dirt experience can take you a long way. You mentioned him being a multi-time champion on dirt oval. Yeah, he's known around the World of Outlaws circle here on iRacing, but when it comes to Rallycross, rather new, got into a couple of World Championship races here and there as Edmondson doesn't joker. He's looking for a safe end to this heat race to put him into the feature. But we talk about Alex Bergeron getting into a handful of World Championship races on provisional and not really doing the best. Well, he has put in the work, put in the time when it comes to Rallycross, and we're seeing it here. This is exactly how it is paying out for Alex Bergeron. He is looking to walk away with this heat victory, and you can see just how slick the dirt is. Everybody sliding through the middle portion of this corner, but Alex Bergeron taming it the best here in heat number 1.
Yep, qualified 4th, I think, in the World Championship qualifiers. Definitely did make it through to the World Championship. This Joker at Charlotte, no problem at all. He goes through, Edmondson goes behind, and Alex Bergeron, no surprises here, takes the victory in heat number 1. Will start on pole for the feature race. Edmondson finishes in 2nd. Then it's Hartley and Alderson who took the Joker and came out just in front of Hook. So Hook misses out, but will start the consolation from pole position. We're going to get the official full race results up on the screen and see who of the 7 drivers makes it through and what 3 drivers are going down into the consolation race. Here are the race results. Alex Bergeron, Josh Edmondson, Matt Hartley and Adam Alderton going through to the feature. Jason Hook, Daniel Aish, both Australians, moving into the consolation, as well as one other driver. Now, heat number 2. Let's have a look at the grid for this race. 7 drivers on the grid today. Robbie Villarreal, Connor Parisi, Josh Fox on your front row, Keaton Swain, Garrett Maines on row 2, then Bodie Cryer on the inside of the 3rd row, with Crystal King in 7th. I don't believe King is driving, although I could very much be wrong. Regardless, we are 5 seconds away from the start of heat number 2. Lights are coming on. King doesn't make the start, obviously not racing, participating in RX2 instead. Here we go then. Lights are on, the revs are rising. We're ready to race for heat number 2. And we go green, and it's a poor start on the inside for Robbie Larrill, and already out in front it is Parisi in the fistful of bourbon car, and there goes Josh Fox as well. They make contact in the background through the middle part of the circuit, and it looks like Swain has some huge damage to the front of that Subaru Cryer, not able to make anything happen all the way down to last position. Actually, no. Getting a cut back, no. Getting a bit of a touch on the wall on the inside. But it is Parisi who leads ahead of Fox, then Swain, then Garrett Maines, opting for the VW.
Interesting choice from Garrett Maines there. You saw them going through turn number 2.
Oh, 4 of the drivers in the back running the wall.
Multiple drivers in the wall, but everybody gets through clean. Nobody going around. Everybody staying straight, but the battle continues here for P3. Swain's going to move a bit up the road. Here comes Garrett Maines. Swain's going to take to the Joker, the only driver from this heat to do it on lap number 1.
Yep, on the outside line there's no point in wasting time in the heat race. It's essentially a time attack. You want to get through the heat race as quickly as possible. You do not want to be holding yourself up by going side by side through corners or by getting held up by slower cars. Maines saw the opportunity there. Swain was a little bit too wide. Stick it up the inside and get that move done very nicely indeed. Swain dropping back a little bit, unfortunately, after taking to the Joker. Looking at the battle for the lead, Parisi maintaining that gap of around about 0.6, 0.7 seconds over Josh Fox. Are either of them going to take to the Joker this time by? No, they don't. Looking back at Maines and Larrill takes to the Joker from 4th position. Will he come out in front of Swain is the question now. I don't think he will. Swain comes out in front, just about, as he makes his way onto lap number 3 of 5, but Loril doing a fantastic job, almost getting up the inside of Swain already on turn number 2. Out in front, still Parisi, followed by Fox.
Taking a look still at the battle for the transfer spot here, because this battle is going to become incredibly important, and if this 21 Keaton Swain can hold it, really sending it in there in his Subaru, just not able to get the traction needed on the dirt. He's gonna fight to that bottom line, hugging the inside wall. They'll go side by side as they work their way into the final couple of corners. One driver into the Joker, puts Swain still in P4 as Mains exits the Joker lane. Little bit of a bobble from Swain. Here comes the door for Loril, but Mains is in the wall. He's gonna turn Robbie Loril and Keaton Swain on the rejoin.
I don't know if Swain got a tap from Mains or what happened there, but Mains is a massive winner from that, coming out in 3rd place. Parisi and Fox now safely through to the feature if they weren't already, but Mains doing that, I wouldn't say rookie error, but it is such an easy one to make. I don't think there was any contact there at all. I think Swain's just locked up the rears, trying to brake and make it through turn number 2. We're going to ride on board for this replay presented by Sparco. On board, Garrett Mains coming out of the Joker, just sliding wide, and that little bit of the barrier that sticks out sends him around, and Loril has nowhere to go. Swain gets a little bit of a tap there. You can see it better from the onboard view, but Mains continues on his way up in 3rd. But now it's going to be a battle between Loril and Swain for that final transfer spot. Parisi and Fox still haven't jokered, but it's fine. They're 12 seconds, 13 seconds in fact, in the lead of this race as they make their way in towards the final couple of corners. They will Joker and take the finish of the race from there. Mains coming around the final corner, and it is Loril who is going to take that 4th and final transfer spot from heat number 2. Across the line goes Parisi, across the line goes Fox. 1 and 2 for those two in the 11 and the 12 cars. Mains in number 14, VW. A little bit of a tap with the wall at the end there as well, and it is Robbie Loril who takes that 4th and final transfer spot. Unfortunately for Swain and Bodie Cryer, well, they're going down into the consolation where they will have to battle it out with 3 of the drivers from race number 1. Let's have a look at the final results from heat number 2. And it's a pretty convincing victory there for Parisi. Fox never really looked like challenging. No real need to. Starting on the front row in the feature in 3rd place for that grid. Right, 5 cars in the consolation grid. Let's have a look at the grid sorry, for the consolation race, starting off with Jason Hook and then Keaton Swain with Daniel Ash on the outside of row number 1. Bodie Cryer and Kieran Forrest on row number 2. They're already all on the grid, ready to go. Crystal King not going to start the race. I think just there as an admin, maybe mistakenly, Crystal might have pressed the join race instead of watch race button. Regardless, we are ready. The lights are up. The drivers are revving their engines. We are ready to race for the consolation. 2 of the 5 drivers will make it through to the feature. Who's it going to be? And we go green, and it's a fantastic start from the back row there, 5 wide, heading into the first corner. This surely will end in chaos. It looks like Loril is already into the barrier. Sorry, not Loril. Who is that in the background? It's Swain getting collected by Ash, and those 2 drivers basically out of a shot already of making it into that top 2. It's Hook, followed by Cryer, followed by Forrest.
They work their way to the jump now, still side by side between Cryer and Forrest. Look at Bodie Cryer trying to get the win. He's going to try and go around the outside, but the contact made. He's going to go hard into the tire barrier, and that's going to knock Bodie Cryer out of a transfer spot.
There is still time left for Ace and for Hook and Forrest, sorry, to make it into the will make a mistake and allow some of the other drivers to make it through. But these 2 drivers, they are pretty much free into the feature. Hook and Forrest, 2 drivers that know each other very well, very active in the Rallycross community, both actually friends of mine. So I'm happy to see those 2 going through in from the consolation race. Let's have a look and see how the remainder of this race goes. Nobody takes the Joker on the first time by. Hook with a little bit of wheel spin coming out of turn 3. I reckon Forrest is going to get on the assault here. on the offensive, try and make some moves happen, try and get that 9th spot on the grid for that feature race. Going now through the dirt section. Is anybody going to Joker? I don't think they will. I'm wrong. Kieran Forrest dives down into the Joker.
Let's see how this is going to work out for Kieran Forrest. Is he going to keep that spot on Bodie Cryer? Looks like he will, because I believe Cryer also coming into the Joker lane. Yes, he did. What about Swain back here in P4? Yes, he'll also come down into the Joker. So Hook is going to be the final car on the track not to take to the Joker lane. This could be incredibly important, because if he loses too much time through the Joker, we could be looking at a new race leader in Kieran Forrest. But it's 2.8 seconds. It's going to be right on the cusp of that Joker lane delta. Bodie Cryer towing into the pit lane. He is not your current leader. You're looking at him right now, the 137 Jason Hook. He is not going to come into the Joker lane yet.
One of the more experienced drivers in Rallycross, almost ending up challenging for the World Championship spot in the World Championship qualifier, as we are on lap 4 of 5, not taking to the Joker on the 3rd time of asking. And the gap now between himself and Forrest, 3 seconds on the dot. So we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But this is really starting to get a little bit tense now, because you can see that gap coming down and down and down and down and down, as it's now 2.5 seconds on the timing tower. This is almost in the range where Forrest will come out in front. I think Jason Hook has got to go now, and doesn't go now. If Forrest continues this pace for the final lap, Hook might be in trouble here.
Let's see what happens. It is white flag, 1 to go in the LCQ. This is the final opportunity for Jason Hook to come into the Joker lane. If he doesn't, it will be a time penalty, and he knows that. So he knows that this is the lap that he will take the Joker. Question is, can Kieran Forrest put together a good dirt section here and have the speed to beat Jason Hook out of the Joker? They'll come to the stripe this time by.
That's a fantastic line. Oh, it's going to be so close. They're going to come out side by side. I think Forrest has it here, side by side, and it is Forrest who has it in the consolation. The line through the dirt section was impeccable from Kieran Forrest. I was watching it on my screen from the blimp cam. Pixel perfect for Kieran Forrest. Fastest lap of the race. How about that?
What a final lap from Kieran Forrest. Keaton Swain gonna also come across the line. He was the last one to finish that race, and we head into the warm-up here for the feature, Dane. Wow, just what an LCQ we saw there. And we'll take a look at the results. Top 2 advance to the feature. That ends up being Forrest at the line being first. Hook, unfortunately, able to stay in the top 2 spots. Just didn't walk away with the win. He'll be starting shotgun on the field in P10.
Yep, absolutely. A couple drivers actually just hit the wall in warm-up. In fact, that's a pile-up of about 3 or 4 cars, so that's not gone well for the drivers making it through to the feature. But unfortunately for the rest of the drivers on that list, they're not making it through to the feature. I'm going to have a quick look at the feature lineup then for this race, because it is a stacked lineup. We have got multiple World Championship drivers, a lot of drivers that probably could make it to the World Championship if they really wanted to. I'm looking at Josh Fox there, who didn't attempt to regain his license, I believe. Josh Fox in that number 12 car for the Pennsylvanian driver. Coming around the final couple of corners, I believe, actually might have qualified for the World Championship from last season, from the top 10. I should know this, but I don't. So
didn't we commentate that together, Dane?
We did. That's huge from Forrest. Okay, Forrest. That's a fatality right there. We might need to get a replacement driver on the track for Kieran Forrest, because that was huge. Oh dear. Josh Edmondson coming around there. Yeah, we did. We qualified. We watched the qualifier. We covered the qualifying series for last season and this season and last season's World Championship as well. I know I should know this. I said I should know this, but I don't. We'll have to wait and see. 10 seconds until we can get gridding for the feature race. Josh, I'm so excited. Who have you got your money on? We've got a really stacked field here.
Honestly, I'm going with Alex Bergeron. I mean, it's hard not to pick Alex Bergeron when it comes to anything on dirt. I think that speed in heat number 1 really convinced me. I think he's going to be not only just the car to beat, but he is going to get this win in the feature.
It's an interesting pick, but if you just look at the drivers at the front of this field, you've got Bergeron, Parisi, Edmonds, and Fox. Like 4 of the quickest drivers in the series. You've got Garrett Maines, who had that unfortunate incident starting in 6th. That's not far back. That's on the inside of row 3. Here is your starting grid, by the way. Bergeron, Parisi, Edmondson on row 1. Fox and Hartley on row 2. Maines, Alderton, Larill on row 3. Forrest and Hook from the Constellation in row 4. 3 by 2 by 3 by 2. The starts have been much cleaner than they were in RX2. Are they going to be clean in the feature, Josh? What do you reckon? We've got 10 cars here.
It's going to be tight. Everybody wants that same real estate at turn number 1, but it's anybody's guess. The revs are coming up. It's time to go racing.
Absolutely, you can see a little bit of wheel spin there as we are ready to race, and we are green, and it is the most even start I've ever seen from the drivers at the front row. But it is Bergeron who leads us through the first corner, then Parisi, then Hartley into 3rd position, Alderton in 4th, heading through under the timing being to start lap number 1. Maines up the inside of Edmondson to make his way up into 5th position, and now up the inside of Hartley as well, getting up into 4th. There's chaos over the jump, and Fox is hard into the wall.
Fox goes from hero to 0. So does Edmondson. They're now 8th and 9th. Jason Hook able to get away poorly. He goes down into P10, but it's still Bergeron up front. Parisi now trying to fight from P2. We were wondering what was going to happen on that start. All the chaos was really delayed until they started going into the dirt section. Then everybody started slamming into each other. Bergeron gets the best out of anybody. He's going to walk away with the early race lead here in the feature.
And I was just about to say, Parisi just needs to sit back and wait for a possible mistake from Bergeron, and then I remembered who I was talking about. This is Alex Bergeron. He doesn't make mistakes here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He has been on it all event long, and I don't think he's going to have any real challenge for this race lead unless he jokers at the wrong time and gets held up in traffic. That's a possibility. It is a possibility. You've got Alderton around about 2 seconds back. That's a pretty good range to get held up in traffic with. Most of the drivers starting to split up a little bit, unfortunately, but we do have some drivers near the back of the field who really shouldn't be. Josh Fox, I'm looking at you, in 7th. He's just behind Robbie Larill, another one of the faster drivers in the series, and that is one of the drivers in the Ford making his way out on through the Joker. I believe it was, who was that coming out of the Joker? Forrest, of course it was, in the Ford Fiesta, side by side with Josh Fox over the jump. Fox on the outside should have a better run. No, what a run there from Kieran Forrest, now slightly underpowered on the dirt. Going for the switchback, getting into the wall there was Kieran Forrest, and Fox makes that move very nicely indeed. Looks like Hartley is up the inside of Forrest as well, and Forrest turns him around, and there goes Hartley off of the circuit. Remember, Forrest has jokered, Fox hasn't, so Fox, when jokers, might have to come out behind and redo that move. Maines took to the joker and came out crucially in front of Robbie Larill there, who was yet to take the joker. They almost make contact to return too.
I was very close to making contact there, but Maines able to get away with that joker. He's currently P4 on the racetrack. Up front, Bergeron still leads. Still waiting on him to joker. Still waiting on Parisi to joker. Still waiting on Alderton to joker. Parisi and Bergeron not in. Alderton's going to take it. So he is going to be the top car that is coming to the joker. If he can stay in front of Garrett Maines, you can see that VW Beetle top of your screen, and Alderton's going to hold on to P3. Now, if he can make up time on the racetrack, Dane, we could be looking at Alderton going further up into the podium places, but battle for the lead just went
Maines hit the wall.
Parisi.
Yeah, Bergeron has made a mistake. I might have just given him the commentator's curse, but Maines hit the wall in turns 1 and 2 as well. We'll have to get a replay and see what has happened here. Bergeron, oh dear, it's the jump. He's spun over the jump. Wow, he's kept out of the wall. That's a fantastic job there from Bergeron. to keep that out of the wall, but Mains into the wall on the outside of turn 1. That's not the first time that we've seen that today. That was, of course, a replay from a lap before. Parisi out in front by quite some distance. 1.4 seconds is the gap between Parisi and Bergeron now. What did I say, Josh? You've got some of the best drivers there. Bergeron, he made a mistake. Parisi's capitalized on that one, and it's going to take a lot for Bergeron to try and close down that gap now.
You got to remember, both of them still have their Joker to play with, and that Joker lane becomes a strategy when you get into competitive iRacing Rallycross, and neither of them taking to it this time, but you got to know that they are thinking in their head right now, okay, if I take the Joker this lap, then I need to do this. If I take it this lap, then I need to do this. It's like fuel strategy in the NASCAR Cup Series or anything oval related, or tire strategy when it comes to road racing. It's just becomes a part of how you navigate a race. That Joker lane could spell the difference between win and loss for Alex Bergeron and Connor Parisi as they come to it this time, wondering who is going to bite the bullet and take it first.
Yep, it definitely does become a strategy in the lower levels. It is a necessity. Here, it's a strategy. They're thinking, can I get some clear air? Oh, when Bergeron's run a little bit deep, you can see he's a bit tight to the wall. That's going to give Parisi a little bit of a buffer. He's given him about 1/10 of a second now. But that's a bit wide for Parisi. They're trading tenths of seconds through here. Bergeron taps the wall and gives Parisi 1/10, and now Parisi running a little bit wide through turn 3, giving Bergeron 1/10 of a second. These two absolutely inconsistent, but consistently trading back and forth. That 1/10 of a second gap between 0.5 and 0.6 seconds. 3 laps to go. I don't think either of them are going to take to the Joker this time by. I think Bergeron will take it on the next lap. Never mind, I'm wrong again. Bergeron into the Joker on lap 8 of the race. Let's see what he can do now. He's in some clear air. That's important. He doesn't have to worry about Parisi now. It is so much easier to catch up a gap when the driver is just in the horizon, in the distance, than it is when the driver's right in front of you. Let's see what he can do. If I'm Parisi, I'm jokering right now.
Let's see if he does. It's 2 to go. They're going to come to the white flag this time by, and you can see top of your screen, gaps to the race leader in your top 3 spots. 2.4 for the 2 machine of Alex Bergeron. Coming to the Joker lane this time. Here comes Parisi in. Watch that gap close in for the 2 of Alex Bergeron. Is it going to be enough? They'll be side by side as they go into the third section. The white flag is out. Parisi able to keep it by inches, but a mistake takes him out. He slams into the wall, slams into the 27 of Adam Alderton, slams into the 2 of Garrett Mains, and Alex Bergeron's running away with the race win.
4 seconds is the gap now, and Alderton has second place in his grasp, but has a ton of damage from that one. Mains got a little bit lucky, but Bergeron running a little bit wide through here, maybe a little bit shaken up from all the stuff that's just happened right in front of him, but 7 seconds is the gap now. I think we need to have a look at what's going on in the background, because Mains is all over the back of Alderton. Fox has got through too, but Bergeron takes the win in round number 3 here in the feature race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. What a fantastic race we've just seen. I'm gutted for Parisi though, only finishing in a 6th position as the real crosses the line. Alderton finishes in 3rd because Mains got past on the final lap, but Fox got overtaken in the final corner. Let's see what happened here with a replay.
This is the replay of Connor Parisi, and
was there contact?
No contact earlier. It was just the contact going into the inside wall, and then just multiple cars starting to pile in. There's Mains piling in. Now we'll take a look at what happened here with Alderton. He's coming over the jump. You can see Mains starting to close his way in. Was it contact there? No. What happened as they went into the second
dirt hairpin? That Mains forces his way up the inside. You can see, bang, up the inside. But now, watch this. Ready? Switchback time. Mains lets him have the inside line, pushes him out the way, up the inside he goes, and he takes 2nd place. Now there goes Fox. This is interesting. Fox had the Joker. That's why Alderton was able to get third place because he goes into the Joker and Alderton gets by. So yeah, Fox has to settle for fourth place. Larill just behind him, you can see in the background of that shot, finishes in fifth, and massive impact at the end of the race there as well for good measure. But for Bergeron, he takes his first win of the season. Round number 3 at Charlotte. We've gone 3 for 3 in all of the series. RX1 and RX2. 3 different winners in the first 3 rounds, at least in the feature races. So, what a chaotic final lap of the race there, Josh. And eventually, Bergeron finishes out on top.
What a feature that was. The chaos coming to the line in the final lap. Bergeron was the most consistent out of anybody, so he takes the win. It's Maines, Alderton, Fox, and Larill rounding out the top 5. What a run for Robbie Larill there in 5th. Connor Parisi unfortunately comes home in 6th. Matt Hartley in 7th. Kieran Forrest in 8th. Jason Hook in 9th, with Josh Edmondson rounding out the field in P10. And that might wrap up the festivities on the track, but we're going to get to speaking with all the drivers from the podium spots, and we will get a short interview with Connor Parisi as well if he is to join from P6. But time to give a word to your winner, Alex Bergeron, standing by with Dane Baird.
Yeah, he joins us now. Alex, what a finish to that race. That final lap was chaotic. You might have not seen all of the stuff happening behind you, but you saw what happened in front of you. Let's start off with the heat race, though, to start off with. I mean, a commanding victory for you in that pole position in qualifying and then starting in the front row in the heat race, and you never looked back from that.
Yeah, for sure. We had good pace. This is one of my toughest tracks. Definitely had a hard time in the qualifying series, and I think I didn't even I didn't even finish the race. So, made a couple of mistakes in the feature, but it's all about learning curve, and things like that. It's just the heat race was very good, and we hit all of our marks and tried everything we could, and in the feature we were ready, and we made one big mistake there on the jump, and I think that cost us the lead. Honestly, if we would have stayed in the lead, I think we would have been, very good up front. But we catch back up and come back to Connor, and Connor made a mistake there in turn 1. Came out right behind him after the Joker lap I did, and he came out with the Joker right in front of me. So I'm sure that was really exciting. But made a small mistake there at the wall, and that gave us the lead back. But it would have been an exciting battle at the end for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, making that mistake over the jump. I got to ask you, how many times have you done that in practice? Because I know when I was practicing for the All-Star event back in the spring at Charlotte, it was every single stint I did, I would end it by going over the jump there. It would just seem to happen every single time. It's so tempting. The car just loves to slide out there. If you dip a wheel slightly off the edge, it just sends your car around, and that's what happened to you in the feature then.
Yeah, exactly. The car, I got tight and pushed out into marbles, and I was out of the tarmac, and that pushed me off. But it happened a couple of times when we practiced for a pro qualifying series, but didn't put any practice laps tonight. Just came in the race and did everything we could, and it seems to be good, so we'll take it.
Yep, and then of course losing the lead. Did you think you had a chance of getting back in front of Connor there? Because you obviously caught up to him by the end, and then took your Joker. I'm assuming that was just to try and close down the gap in clear air because you were struggling when he was right in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like if I would have if I threw the Joker, I would change his mind a little bit and be thinking where he's at now. So I threw the Joker, and I had the chance with the person behind me not so close. So I had a chance to take it now, and at the lap I was on, so took it, and I think it was a bit of an advantage. I was gaining a lot of time on him on the left ender, the banked left ender after I think the third turn there. So definitely a lot of time gained on the track from the last time we were here in the pro qualifying series. I think it's good improvements, and it's a good time to be ready for the big series, the World Championship.
Yeah, definitely. One more event here before we go to the World Championship Series, I believe. That's at Daytona Long. What are your thoughts on that circuit?
It's a really tight track, to be honest. I've done a couple laps there before, since Rallycross started. That was one of the tracks I was running a lot on it. So it was one of the main tracks that came out with the Rallycross. So I think it's gonna be good. It's a tight track. It's a fun track too. I think it's gonna put on a great racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining us here. Congratulations on the win. Maximum points for you, winning the heat and the feature as well. So great job in that. We'll see you next week at Daytona. But before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to on Racecraft TV?
Well, definitely everyone that supports me, all of our partners, and of course all you guys for broadcasting an awesome job, and the series for bringing this up, and with Josh putting this up, and having us run on Sundays, and making us prepared for the World Championship races.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Alex, so much, and we'll see you at Daytona.
Thank you.
Well, it was great to hear from him there. And we've got Josh standing by with second place in the feature, Garrett Mains.
And what a run that was for you, Garrett. Coming to, of course, to take the white flag, seeing all the action happening in front of you. What was your thoughts? Were you just trying to get through that as clean as possible and try and run away for P2?
I'm going to be honest, that was a gift. I felt like I ran a pretty sloppy race there. I had no idea that the track had changed or that the dirt was slicker than it used to be. I think I said it last week in the interview that I really didn't have any experience here anyway. But the little bit that I did, I had some reference of where to turn, and that was kind of gone today. And I didn't feel like connected with what was going on. I didn't know how much grip the dirt had when it slicked off. And my car was definitely not tuned for the track conditions at the end. I was really struggling to get a grip on it through some of the dirt sections. But definitely crazy there at the end. I didn't expect Connor to, I should have expected, but I didn't see Connor coming. And so I didn't have enough time to react to get a little bit higher. And me and Adam had one heck of a battle there for the end. I know he had wheel damage. I had a little bit. But that was a heck of a battle. Josh almost spoiled the party there. But overall, it was a good finish. Adam and I had a brawl there for that second place spot. But I'll take it. I definitely didn't feel like I had the pace today to get the result I did. But at the end of the day, it's a second place points finish. And that's more than I expected here.
And you mentioned coming in with rather low confidence. Of course, the second place finish is good, but do you think with maybe a bit more practice before coming in that you did have just ultimately the pace to grab a win? Or was it something that no matter how much practice you put into this circuit, just not a ton of pace in this track for you?
I'd love to believe, and I really hope it's true, that if I'd put the practice in, I would have been a little bit better. I truly did not put any. I got in during qualifying. I actually barely made it because I went shopping unintentionally. I thought I was going to dinner/lunch, but ended up going shopping as well. And my brother took like 2 hours longer than expected. And so dinner wasn't until cutting it real close. I had to leave early. So it was... a little bit more time taken up than I thought. I thought I'd had those 2 hours to practice. I didn't want to come in here and, meme it up because it's been really quality racing all season. But this track's definitely difficult in the way that, it was a lot slicker in the dirt, made it kind of hard to judge how much you could sling it in there. I think everybody adapted to it over the course of the race, but you could even see it when it started to wear out. If you stepped off the line, you were going around. But, I think we're going to be going here for the World Championship, and putting the time in for that is definitely going to be necessary. I don't want to show up and have, the feelings that I had today about the track, when it really, really counts. But overall, I hopped into the Beetle. That should be your indication. Definitely got to put some work in for the Subaru to get prepared for that.
Well, going into Daytona Long in the next round, are you going to keep driving your VW Beetle, or are you going to go back to the Subi?
We are going back to the Subi. I definitely like Daytona Long in the Volkswagen, but I don't foresee myself driving it in the World Championship, and I need to get some experience there. It's actually a good track for me. It was the highest I'd ever qualified in a Volkswagen. I actually got P5 last year. So, hopefully we can pick right back up with the Subaru there and see what we can do. But, overall, I'll take it. I'm glad we're going to a track that I'm familiar with next week, but got to give a shout out to OfferPad, Smithfield, Linux, Nutrient Ag Solutions, Digital Hub, everybody at Elliott Sadler Esports for all their support. And I'm pretty sure we got a slot now, so it'll be cool to be able to represent them in the World Championship as well.
Great to hear, Garrett, and congratulations on your second place. Thank you so much for joining us here post-race.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to hear from Garrett Mains, and now we end off the post-race show with our third place interview. That will be Adam Alderton standing by with Dane Baird.
Yep, absolutely. Adam, welcome to the broadcast booth. Once again, not quite the win that you might have been hoping for heading into this round, but still on the podium, third place for you. But the ending of that race was a little bit chaotic.
Yeah, it happened so fast. Like, I'm kind of glad Connor was there in the middle of the track. I completely messed up turn 1, and I was going straight into the barrier. So Connor kind of saved me, to be fair. It's had major damage, and I knew Garrett was right behind me. And I knew he was going to go for the move in the final corner, or final section of the track. I tried to hold it, but I couldn't with the damage. Impossible. So I kind of just let him have it. You know, I couldn't fight it without getting turned. So, but, yeah.
So P3 for you today. You let Fox past you as well. Did you know that he started to take the Joker? Of course, it has the little icon in the relative box, but that's not always the way you're looking when you're fighting for the podium positions at the end of a feature race. Did you know that he still had to take the Joker, or were you just being a bit content with 4th place?
Yeah, I knew he still had to take the Joker. I knew from a few laps before that he hadn't taken it. So I just let him have it. Like, there's no point taking the risk, taking both of us out. So, just let him go by, and then settle for P3.
And P3 still a podium position. That makes it 2 podiums in a row. Heading into round 4 at Daytona Long, obviously, basically the oldest circuit on the IRX calendar. What are your thoughts heading into that round?
I don't stand a good chance. I don't think. Probably one of my worst tracks, especially when it comes to the feature. It's not a strong track for me. But it's hit and miss at that track. Anything can happen with the slowdowns. So put in the practice and just hope that I can get another good result next week.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the 3rd place finish here today. We'll see you next week at Daytona. But before we let you go, is there anyone you would like to give a shout out to here on Racecraft TV?
Big thanks to Jacob Raffos for just helping over the past couple of days. Mario at Kez Industries and all the team there, and just my family and friends, and just support me with this. So.
Well, thank you very much, Adam. Congrats on 3rd place. We will see you next week at Daytona. Thanks a lot.
See you next week.
Well, Josh, it was great to hear from Adam. Their 3rd place, we got to speak to all the top 3 from the feature race in RX1, and yet again, it was chaos, as we love to see in Rallycross. But you predicted it right, Bergeron, on the top step of the podium at the end there. I think he really did deserve that. He was really on it. A very small mistake with the jump put him back in 2nd, but eventually Rallycross decided who won. Charlotte Motor Speedway decided who won. As that saying about Lamar chooses its winner, I think IRX does that in some way as well. Bergeron taking the win. What do you think heading into round 4? He's probably got a bit of confidence heading into round 4 now.
I definitely think he does, but I'm also in the back of my mind just wondering, when is the streak of unique winners going to end? Eventually we'll get a duplicate winner. 3 rounds in both RX2 and RX1. We have yet to get a duplicate winner. I'm expecting one in Daytona. I think if anybody can go back-to-back, it's Alex Bergeron, but he has a lot of tough competitors, and who knows, Daytona Long is a comfortable circuit for these drivers, but they can't get too comfortable, because then that is when the mistakes start to rise.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that is all we have time for now for round number 3 of the Racecraft TV Rallycross series presented by Sparco here on Racecraft TV. Thank you everybody for watching. For Trevor Teal at Racecraft TV Rallycross, for Josh Edmondson at Racecraft TV Car Cameras by Istvan Below, and for my colleague in the booth, of course, Joshua Lee. My name is Dean Baird. Thank you so much for tuning in to live coverage of round 3 from virtual Charlotte. And we will see you in 1 week's time, September 19th, for round 4 from virtual Daytona International Speedway.